Здравствуйте. Hello and welcome to Russian language class. Before moving on, let's have a quick recap of the previous lesson. So, what did we learn in the previous lesson? We learnt the conjunctions and the conjunctive words which are used in the complex sentences, and the conjunctions are used to introduce the subordinate clause in a complex sentence. And what conjunction and conjunctive words we have used? We have seen the use of, or we have learned the use of conjunctions как, что, кто, когда, чтобы, затем, потому что, поэтому, если, если бы, хотя, and so on. And we have already discussed their use and how do we use them. Subordinate clause. Чтобы is used either with the past tense of a verb or with the infinitive form of a verb, and we have discussed where do we use the past tense and where do we use the infinitive form. Zачем, zачем is what for, потому что is because, поэтому is therefore, если, the conjunction если is used to introduce the conditional clause. So, if there is a condition, then something will be done. Если бы is used in the subjunctive mood, and what is subjunctive mood? Which is to denote unreal conditions. Хотя, which means although, though, even though, and so on, is used to denote concessive outcome. And apart from these conjunctions, we have also learnt the use of который in complex sentences. So, how do we use который in the complex sentence? And we had learned that the который changes its form in number, gender, and case. The number and gender of который depends on the noun which it denotes in the principal clause, whereas the case of который depends on the verb of the subordinate clause. As you can see here, это его друг, от которого он получил письмо. Это его друг, от которого он получил письмо. So, this is his friend from whom he received a letter. As you can see, the gender and number of который, which is masculine and singular, depends on the noun it denotes in the principal clause, друг, which is again singular and masculine, whereas the case of который depends on the verb получить. Получить requires the question от кого. So, от кого means at and genitive case of the noun. That is why we have used the preposition at and then genitive case of the который, which is которого. So, this is about the previous lesson. Now, we will move on to the topics that we are discussing today. So, now the topic is direct and indirect speech. You must have heard about direct and indirect speech in your language. So, how do we understand the terms direct and indirect speech? They are sometimes referred as the quoted and reported speech. Direct is quoted speech and indirect is reported speech. So, when something is written as it was said is called direct speech. So, you are writing the way it was said. So, there is no difference between what was said and what is written, and it is written with the use of these colon and these punctuation marks. So, for example, он спросил меня, где ты живешь? He asked me, where do you live? So, here as you can see, this is the quoted speech. This is how this person or the subject asked. So, now if you have to change this quoted speech into reported speech, how will you say that? Он спросил меня, где я живу. Он спросил меня, где я живу. So, he asked me, where do I live? So, here as you can see, we have changed ты into ya Why? Because this ya corresponds to the object of the principal clause, ya min ya. So, that is why we have to change ti into ya. So, this is the difference between direct speech and indirect speech. And as you can see in this example, the direct speech contains an interrogative word. So, wherever you will find an interrogative word in the direct speech, how will you convert that speech into indirect? We will retain the interrogative word, put a comma before that, and then we will use or will change the subject accordingly. So, ti becomes ya and gije is retained. So, this is how we change direct speech into indirect speech if direct speech contains an interrogative word. So, the next circumstance is when we have a question without any interrogative word. As you can see here, on anis prasili nas viznaice adres novava knishnava magazina. Anis prasili nas viznaice adres novava knishnava magazina. So, here this sentence contains the question, and question is implied in this word znaice. So, do you know the address of new book shop? So, they ask us, do you know the address of new book shop? So, now how will you convert this quoted speech or the direct speech into indirect? So, we have a rule that the word which contains the question, and you have to put or you have to add an additional particle li after the word which contains the question, and then you have to make the necessary changes. For example, if we convert this sentence, the direct speech, into indirect, we will say anis prasili nas znaim li my adres novava knishnava magazina. So, here as you can see, we has been changed to my because here my corresponds to nas. So, they asked us, do we know the address of new book shop? And what we are doing is, we are adding the particle li after the word which contains the question, which is znat in this case, and we are putting a comma before that. So, this is how we change a direct speech into indirect, where there is a question without any interrogative word. So, we will now look at some other conditions or some other examples where there is no question, there is a command, there is an imperative sentence in the direct speech. So, how do we convert them into indirect? Now, we are discussing the ways in which the direct speech converted or changed into indirect speech. So, we have already discussed the interrogative direct speech. Now, we are discussing the imperative direct speech and the statements. So, if a direct speech contains a statement, how do we change them into indirect speech? So, let us look at the example. Мы сказали ему, завтра наши соседи уезжают в Delhi. We told him, tomorrow our neighbors are going to Delhi. So, here as you can see, the second sentence or the direct speech contains a statement. So, it is a statement, it does not have a question, it does not have an imperative sentence, it is just a statement. So, how do we change that statement into indirect speech? We are supposed to add shto, which is a conjunction in between, and that is how we are supposed to change the direct speech into indirect speech. So, let us look at how do we do that. Мы сказали ему, что завтра наши соседи уезжают в Delhi. So, we told them that tomorrow our neighbors are going to Delhi. So, what we are doing is, we are adding conjunction shto in between and changing the direct speech into indirect speech. So, this is how we change the statements. Now, let us move on to the imperative sentence. If the direct speech contains imperative sentence, how do we change that into indirect? For example, Pripada skazal studientu prachitai tekst pagurumche. The teacher asked the student, read the text louder. Pagurumche. So, it comes from the adverb gromka and the adjective gromki. So, the teacher asked the student, read the text louder. So, how we are going to change the imperative sentence into indirect speech? Преподаватель сказал студенту, чтобы он прочитал текст погромче. So, here as you can see, we are adding the conjunction чтобы, and then we are changing the verb into past tense. So, from imperative form we are changing the verb into past tense, and then we are changing the direct speech into indirect speech. So, преподаватель сказал студенту, чтобы он прочитал текст погромче. The teacher asked the student so that he read the text louder. Why we are using prachital? We have already explained it before, that whenever the subject of the subordinate clause and the principal clause are different, then we use the verb in the past tense. So, this was about the direct and indirect speech. So, how do we convert the direct speech or quoted speech into reported speech or indirect speech? So, now we will move on to our another topic, the next topic. The verbal adverbs or the gerund. This is our next topic. The verbal adverbs or the gerund denote the additional action, and they are derived from either perfective aspect of a verb or an imperfective aspect of a verb. When they are derived from imperfective aspect, they denote an additional action and simultaneous actions. So, additional action which is taking place simultaneously. For example, I have written here two sentences with two actions. So, the verbal adverbs denote an additional action. For example, I have written here two sentences with two verbs. Я гулял по парку, я встретил друга. So, I was walking in a park and I met a friend. So, if we have to say these two sentences like this, while I was walking in a park, I met a friend. So, as you can see, these two actions are simultaneous in this sentence. So, how will you say that? So, we will use a verbal adverb which will be derived from the verb gulyach, and as you know that gulyach is an imperfective aspect. So, when we derive the verbal adverb from an imperfective aspect, it denotes the simultaneous action. Гуляя по парку, я встретил друга. So, while taking a walk in a park, I met a friend. So, here as you can see, when we translate this sentence, we are saying that these two actions took place simultaneously. But when we derive the verbal adverb from a perfective aspect of a verb, then it does not denote the simultaneous actions. It denotes the action which has taken place before some other action. For example, I have written here two sentences, and in both the sentences I have used the perfective aspects. Я прочитал газету. I read a newspaper. And the second sentence, я пошел в буфет позавтракать. I went to the canteen to have breakfast. So, now if I have to say that after reading the newspaper, I went to the canteen to have my breakfast. So, here it sounds that the one action which is reading a newspaper is completed, and then we have started another action. So, in this case we will derive the verbal adverb from the perfective aspect. So, here prachitach is the verb. So, we will derive the verbal adverb from the verb prachitach. So, how do we use the verbal adverb here? Prachitav gazietu ya pasyolf bufyet pazavtrakach. So, here prachitav gazietu will mean after reading the newspaper, I went to have my breakfast at the canteen. So, here two forms are there. The first form has been derived from the imperfective form, and the other form, the second form, has been derived from the perfective aspect. So, when it has been derived from the imperfective aspect, it denotes the simultaneous action, and if it is derived from the perfective aspect, it denotes the action which has been completed and other action has been started or is being done. Some more examples. So, the first one again from the imperfective aspect of the verb sijiech. So, from sijiech we derive the verbal adverb sijia. Sijia na jivane ye chitayu journal. So, while sitting on a couch, I am reading a journal or magazine. So, here these two actions are taking place simultaneously. Why? Because we are using the verbal adverb derived from the imperfective aspect. The next example we have is Pasmatrev chilivisar mi sieli zanimatsa. Here pasmatrev has been derived from the verb pasmatrech, which is the perfective aspect. So, it will denote an action which has been completed and we have moved on to another action. Pasmatrev chilivisar, after watching television, mi sieli zanimatsa, we sat down to study. So, here as you can see, first action has been completed and the other one has started. So, now one more important thing is that this gulyaya paparku ya strechil druga, this verbal adverb can be replaced with the subordinate clause introduced by kagda. For example, if you have to change this sentence into a complex sentence, how will you do that? Kagda ya gulyal paparku ya strechil druga. So, this is one way we can change this sentence into a complex sentence introduced by Katori. So, here the subordinate clause kagda ya gulyal paparku is introduced by the word kagda, and the other way in which it can be done is to use the conjunction e in between, I mean between two sentences, ya gulyal paparku if strechil druga. So, these are two ways in which you can change this sentence into a complex sentence. The first one by using kagda in the subordinate clause and the other one by using the conjunction e. So, this is about the verbal adverbs. How do we use the verbal adverbs in sentences? Now, the question comes, how do we form the verbal adverbs from the verbs? Since we have seen that we have gulyaya, here we are using ya and ya, here it has been derived from the perfective aspect, we are using va at the end, here again imperfective aspect, but we are using a single ya. So, how do we do that? That we will discuss in the next part. So, we have already talked about the use of verbal adverbs in Russian. Now, we will be talking about the formation of verbal adverbs from the verbs. How do we derive the verbal adverbs from verbs? So, let us start with the verbal adverbs which are derived from the imperfective aspect. The verbal adverbs from the imperfective aspects are derived by using the suffix ya or a. So, how do we do that? Let us look at some of the examples. These verbal adverbs are derived from the conjugated form of the verbs. For example, chitach, how do we conjugate chitach with ani, which is third person plural number? Ani chitayut. So, now what you have to do is, you have to remove the ending and add ya. So, normally with all the verbs we use the ending ya. So, chita plus ya is chitaya. So, chitaya is the verbal adverb derived from the imperfective aspect of the verb chitach. Next example is vijit. So, how do we conjugate vijit with ani, third person plural number? Ani vidyat. and again we have to do the same thing, just remove the ending and add ya. So, vidya, vidit, vidya. So, here this is the verbal adverb derived from the imperfective aspect vidit. The next example is smatryet, smatryet, smotryat. With ani we conjugate this verb as smotryat. Remove or drop the ending and add ya. So, what do we get? Smatrya. So, these are the verbal adverbs derived from the verbs chitach, vidich and smatrech. Now, there are certain verbs, when we drop the ending we get zh, sh and sh. So, whenever we come across the verbs in which the conjugated form ends with either zh or sh or sh, we do not use ya, we will use a. For example, dziershich, dziershich. How will you conjugate this dziershich with ani? Dziershat. So, here when we drop the ending, the consonant, the last consonant here is zh. So, whenever we come across such verbs or such conjugated forms, we will use a instead of ya. So, dziersha, the verbal adverb derived from this verb will be with ending a. The next verb is slishach, slishach is to hear. So, when we conjugate slishach with ani or third person plural number, we get slishat, slishat. Here when after dropping the ending, what do we get? Slish, which ends with the consonant sh. So, if the conjugated form ends with the consonant sh, again we will use the ending a, will not use ya. So, what verbal adverb will be getting? Slisha. So, here again we are not using ya, we are using a. So, these are some of the rules by which we derive the verbal adverbs from the imperfective aspects. Now, there are verbs with the endings dava, stava or znava. For example, davach, davach, when we drop the ta and soft sign we get dava, stavach, when we drop the ending stava, and when we drop the ending here ta and soft sign we get uznava. So, if we get verbs like these, then the verbal adverbs are derived from the infinitive forms. So, from davach we have to derive the verbal adverb, from stavach again it is an infinitive form, we have to derive the verbal adverb from the infinitive form, and uznavach we have to derive the verbal adverb from the infinitive form. So, how do we get that? Just drop the and soft sign and add ya. So, what do we get? Davaya, stavaya, uznavaya. So, as you can see, this is very simple. When we come across the verbs with dava, stava and uznava, we use ya as the ending, plus they are derived from the infinitive forms. The verb pisach does not have any verbal adverb, and the verb bit has an irregular verbal adverb which is buduchi, buduchi. So, this you have to remember, because there is no rule under which you can explain the formation of this verbal adverb. Now, let us move on to the verbal adverbs from the perfective aspect. How do we form the verbal adverbs from the perfective aspect? It is very simple, they are derived from the infinitive forms just by dropping the and soft sign and adding va at the end. For example, napisach, napisach, drop the and soft sign and add va, napisaf. Uvidit, uvidit, again do the same thing, drop the and soft sign and add va, uvidif. Next is paushinach, paushinach, drop the and soft sign and add va at the end, paushinaf. And pasmatrech we have already seen, pasmatref. So, this is how we form the verbal adverbs from the perfective and imperfective aspects of verbs. The first one is formed by using the suffixes or the ending a or ya, and from the perfective aspects by adding the consonant v at the end after dropping the ends of sign. We have already discussed the rules of changing direct speech into indirect speech. Now, we will try to convert some of the direct speech into indirect speech and see the use of the rules that we discussed earlier. I have written the direct speech first, and then we have converted or changed the direct speech into indirect speech using the rules that we have discussed. The first example is Alex Prasil Minya Kuda Vidioche. So, this is the direct speech, and then the answer is also in the direct speech. Ya atvechilimu ya idufkina chiatar. I answered or I replied to him, I am going to the movie theater or theater. So, Oleg asked me, where are you going? And I replied to him, I am going to the theater. So, now how will you change this direct speech into indirect speech? We have learned that if direct speech has an interrogative word, then we have to retain the interrogative word and change the direct speech accordingly. So, Alex Prasil Minya Kuda ya idu. So, here Kuda has been retained and this V has been changed to ya. The next sentence is a statement. That is why we have to add an additional conjunction shto and change the direct speech into indirect speech. Ya atvechel yimu shto ya iduf kina chiatar. I replied to him that I am going to the movie theater. Next example of direct speeches, Annas Prasila nas Vichitali sivodnishniu gazetu. Vichitali sivodnishniu gazetu. Anna asked us, did you read today's newspaper? Sivodnishnya is from the word sivodnya, which is today. So, did you read the today's newspaper? Mi atvechili, again the direct speech, we replied, Niyat pakani chitali, no, so far we have not read. So, now you have to change these two sentences into indirect speech. How do we do that? Again, if a question is there without any interrogative word, how do we change that into indirect speech? We add a particle li after the word which contains the question. So, here as you can see, Chitali contains the question. So, we will add the particle li after Chitali. Annas Prasila nas Chitali li mui sivodnishnu gazetu. So, Anna asked us, did we read the today's newspaper? The next sentence is a statement without a negation. So, how do we change that into indirect speech? Mi atvechili, we replied, shto pakani chitali, that so far we have not read. So, here we are adding shto, which is a conjunction, to change it into indirect speech. The third example of direct speech is Mi paprasili pripadava achalya abisnicha pashalsta echi zadachi ishuras. We requested our teacher, please explain these exercises once again. So, here as you can see, the imperative is there in the direct speech. So, how do we change the imperative into indirect speech? So, we use the conjunction shtobi and then the verb in the past tense. Mi paprasili pripadava achalya shtobi un abisnil echi zadachi ishuras. So, here we are using the conjunction shtobi and we change the verb into the past tense. So, this is how we change the direct speech into indirect speech. So, with this I conclude the lesson here. So, what all we have learnt? We learned direct and indirect speech, and we have learned the verbal adverbs, their formation and their use. So, this is all for today. We will meet in the next class. Till then, spasiba, до свидания.